Good morning. So there is a point that you get to during the spiritual awakening where you have to transcend the mind altogether. It means you abandon your mind. Um, you abandon all the stories. In the beginning, when we get on this journey, the twin flame journey and the spiritual awakening journey, we are trying to reason. We're trying to make sense of it in our mind because we are all of a sudden where it's especially on the twin flame journey, when you meet that counterpart, you're thrown into this world that you haven't known before. And there's so much pain in there that we go back to or we try to reason with it. We try to um, try to make sense of it with our mind. And as long as we're trying to make sense of it with our mind, then we are not actually going into the energetic field or into the emotions fully and fully processing them. With the mind, um, we're trying to reason with the pain. We're trying to make sense of it. We're trying to give ourselves outs. We're trying to understand it. When it's at the level of the mind, it's the level of the physical world, the 3D world. In the 3D world, you cannot make sense of it. It's so overwhelming. It's beyond this world. So as long as you're trying to make sense of it in the mind, you are not going to be able to fully process it. And I think that um, that we have to exploit all options of the mind. That means we have to go through the mind process of it to understand that it is beyond the mind, because at some point you're just going in loops in your mind. Because when you get on the spiritual awakening and everything is so profound and so enormous and the incomprehensible, um, that it takes it takes time to even begin to process what is happening. It's almost like it's unbelievable, and we keep on trying to make sense of it with our mind. We're trying to make sense of it this way. We're trying to escape from it. We're trying to, especially when the pain comes up, then we try to escape from it. We try to find, in the beginning, we try to push against it and say it's not so, and that doesn't work. And then we try to process it, and um, we try to, with the mind, um, come to all sorts of resolutions and all sorts of reasonings why and how and what can I do and how to escape the pain. And we fall into old addictions and old behavioral patterns. Thing is that as we progress, there is nowhere to run. And when we start running into those behavioral patterns, all of a sudden we can see them for what they are, because we keep on having those mirrors back to ourselves and our from our higher self, or from our counterpart, or from the universe keeps giving us mirrors of ourselves. And the further we progress along the spiritual awakening and the twin flame journey, the quicker the progression goes. The more you clean, the more pure of a slate you have, the more obvious the dirt on the plate is. And then also the more painful it is, because we've already come so far. And to find these things that are so far within us, it's painful. It's like we're doing a deep clean, a deep cleansing. And at some point, the mind doesn't, you can't resolve it in the mind, and you get tired of doing it too. You get to where you can't hold anything anymore. Even, I was thinking, even yesterday, or in the last few days, I've just kind of given myself off from, you know, from fighting against it, or from trying to force myself to do things that I just don't feel like I can do right now, like my work packaging. There's so much work that I could be doing, sending off packages. There's so many things that I could be doing. And when you're so deep in this, um, you can't really concentrate. So you're kind of fighting against yourself when you're trying to force yourself to do things that aren't right now relevant to the spiritual awakening or to what you're going through emotionally. And so I kind of just let myself a little bit off the hook on that. And then my natural way of being is feeling guilty, right? I'm not doing I'm not I'm not keeping up with my work. So I have this natural guilt that arises. And even in the last few days, I can't even hold the guilt. It's like I'm so I can't um you get to a place of such depth that it takes everything in your being to be in this cleansing process and to be able to face your own demons, that even the guilt, I can't even hold the guilt against myself. It takes too much effort. So in that way, I kind of feel like the divine has taken over and just allowing me for a minute just to be and to really follow my nose. And for instance, when I feel like I am giving, which is if I'm making these videos and I'm talking about the process that I'm going through and being able to put it into words, not only am I able to put it into words for me, but I'm able to put it into words for whoever else is going through this. And then I feel like I'm doing my God's work. And that comes with little or no effort. It almost is like that is something that is born out of me without feeling like it's taking from me. Whereas anymore, it feels like I just cannot put my effort in anything that is not aligned with my higher self, my higher being. And I understand that making a living is part of being in this 3D existence and part of also part of the spiritual awakening is being able to also be in this 3D plane and take care of the meat factor, the avatar as well. But I feel like part of this cleansing process is taking everything off the plate that isn't, I can't fight myself anymore. I just don't have it in me to put on any kind of faces, even faces. I'm going to pause this for a minute. So hopefully I'll be able to continue. It feels like I just don't have the energy anymore to hold up any of the masks or faces anymore, or the narratives or the stories. Um, all of the stories at some point fall away. It's like you transcend your mind and go deep into the emotion, and you're just with the emotion. There is no, it's at a completely different level. And whatever takes from you to hold up, you just can't hold it up anymore. So whatever is not important falls off your plate, and then you're left with your big stones. So you're left with the things that really matter in your life. Um, and with the twin flame journey, um, I'm going to stop this for a second. So the way that I see it is that the twin flame journey is like a catalyst for your spiritual awakening. It is it pushes you through it much quicker because you have that reference of mirror, and it represents everything that you go through during the spiritual awakening can happen in progression with your counterpart, with the divine counterpart that is reflecting you back to you. And you have to get to a point of complete release. And in order to get to a point of complete release, you have to release yourself also from the restrictions, from the confinements of your own mind. In order to release them, you also have to release all the narratives and all the stories. And you have to really bring that energy back to yourself. And in order to do that, you have to transcend your ego. And that's what the spiritual awakening is all about. It's rising to your higher self. It's transcending your ego. It's accepting what is. It's accepting um, I want to say a sense of loss, but it's more than that. It's there is a sense of loss within this, but it's also you losing yourself. You're losing your own attributes. You keep on having to, you try everything that is in your ecosystem, everything that is in your toolbox to try to uh, maneuver or catch or uh, when you're in the chasing mode and nothing works. And so you have to transcend all of those behaviors and all of those automatics that you have going. And while you transcend them, you are also seeing them. So you're all there's a sense of mourning, and it's a sense of mourning. You're mourning the loss of external things, but you're also mourning the loss of yourself, because as you see these things, you have to face them. And at some point, the pain is so great and the narratives are gone. You can't even hold up the stories anymore. You don't have the energy. It's just like I was saying about the work, and then feeling guilty, but I don't even have the energy to hold up the guilt anymore. So even the guilt, the narrative of the guilt is gone. And when you let all of those things go, all you can do is trust in the divine, because that's all you're left with. There you don't have you understand that you are not making it happen. A lot of these things are beyond your control. It's almost like they were written before you even came into existence. And when you see the narrative and how it was written and how the things are working out and how they're playing out, and you see that it is all going by some kind of divine plan. And it's almost like, as long as you're just fighting against what is. It's taken that path, whether you want to or not. So then you give up the fight. It's like you don't have it in you anymore to and then there is this automatic let go. Um, there's this automatic trust and knowing that happen. And and then you allow yourself to go into that heart space and just dive into those deep, deep, deep emotions where there is no mind, where you completely transcend the mind. I was also listening to a video yesterday that my counterpart sent me. If I remember, I'll put it in the comments of the video. Um, And he explains this so well, that moving into this new world, we can see now that everything around us is falling apart, and we each individually have responsibility to do our own work. And those of us that are out on the forefront and going through this now, we are writing a map um, of how it's done, what it looks like. We're bringing legitimacy to it. I think in whoever doesn't go through, whoever is on this process can see that you can't see this place from there, from 10 years ago. You can't see. You have to go through it to know it. You have to go through it to understand the resolutions and the pain of it. You're transcending yourself. It's an ego death. Your ego is fighting for its belief system. It's fighting to stay relevant. It's fighting to hold on to the old programming that has brought it up till now. And then when you transcend the ego, when the ego has no more answers for you, the stories don't do it for you anymore. There is no peace in the stories. In the beginning of this journey, when you first get on the twin flame journey or the spiritual awakening journey, you can still have narratives that give you peace, that give you uh, time away from the thought. Oh, you make up stories, and then you can cancel out whatever it's coming to teach you easier. I just got a message, Journey to Union. You can't run away from the shadow work anymore, or something like that. A title just came up on my screen. It's so relevant. It's We're all going through this together. We're all coming to the same conclusions. And so there's a place where you completely transcend your mind and you go deep into those emotions and the into the heart space where all of these where all of the deep emotions sit, where all of the deep feelings of loss, where your work really can be done. You really can go through these emotions, and it works as a portal. Once you go through those emotions, it brings you through to a completely different plane of existence, into a plane of complete bliss where you are also you see things completely different. You come into the space where you can see as we're going through this, we get glimpses, we get to enter in, and then it's like we're coming through the birthing canal. Now we're coming through being born into the new world, which is a world where you're above it all. You're not inside of the matrix taking it all personally. You're above it, where you can see cause and effect, and you can see where nothing is personal. It's all just the way things are moving. Everything is interacting, everything is moving. You can see how everything is progressing. And then you also become a master creator because you're above the emotion. You're not moving with it as it moves, you're above it, and you can watch the currents. You can decide to get down in there, but you're not really moved emotionally anymore from the old narrative. The old narrative, you've already bypassed it, and you can see it for what it is, and you can also really easily see where other people are being moved by the cause and effect, and where it's touching them, and what their weaknesses are. And then that way you become a master also for healing of others, because you can mirror it back to them easily through just you being present. In your presence, when you bring light, you shine light on shadows. So um, there is no effort in this. You get to a place where life becomes effortless, and then it just kind of plays around you because you're standing still and nothing is moving you emotionally. You're not getting lost in those currents of the emotion. But in order to do that, you have to transcend the mind, which means we are transcending the ego. And this is a process. We keep on doing it. We have all of these programs that are running that are trying to manage our life. And as the programs become obsolete, they're not giving you the outcome that you want. They're not giving you the end. Then all of a sudden you're seeing the falsities of them that are being reflected back to you, and then you're getting the pain of that, and you go deep into that pain, and then you can do that internal work, and you can transcend that behavior. You can take hold of that archetype and move into its power, because you're not falling into its weaknesses. You're not hiding from yourself anymore. So then when you go into that place, then you transcend a little bit more of your ego. And then it's like stepping stones. We're transcending our ego completely until there are no more narratives. There are no more stories that you can hold up. And you are just in the now perpetually with yourself. But you have to go through those emotions and know yourself completely, completely, completely from all of the different aspects. You have to go all the way in and just sit in those emotions without the narrative. Allow the pain to flow through you. It flows through your body. You can feel it just spreading through every single part of your being until it disperses outwards. And then you don't have to fear it anymore. And then you also see the falsity within the ego mind, and then you are above the ego mind and you take control of the ego mind, and the ego mind becomes your tool. You use it more as like an orchestration, like a tool, more than something that is running the avatar, right? So we have to rise above it and take control of it. And we do this through our emotion, and then we can sync our mind and our emotion together, right? The thoughts don't give us pain. We can see the thoughts. We can even feel the pain that they would initiate, but we are already above it and beyond it. We have gone through that portal of pain to the other side and have um, risen above into our soul seat. So sending you guys so much love. Thank you for listening and watching. I love to read the messages when we go through the heart space. Then we go into um, true love. Then we can love another truly, because we can see them truly, because we have gone through ourselves. We don't have those attachments to the way things should be, the way the behaviors that we're, or what our weaknesses that we are putting onto them that they have to fulfill within ourselves. And this is also towards the twin flame. We leave all expectations, and they don't have to make me secure, because what is making me secure? That is being lost in the ego. I am secure. I'm a whole being. I'm part of God. God is flowing through me. When I'm in my soul seat, I know this, and I am of strength. And then only from that place can I unconditionally love someone and set them free to be who they want to be, without having the constraints of what they have to fulfill within me to make me happy. Oh, you have to be with me. You have to fulfill this need within me, fulfill that need within me. When you transcend the ego, then there aren't those empty places that need to be filled by someone else, and then you can let them go, and you can have unconditional love towards them. So transcending the ego allows you to have that unconditional love. It brings you in. It also allows you to fully know yourself and have that unconditional love towards yourself, because you don't think that you are the ego anymore. So you don't hold those behaviors against yourself. You see them as external programming that was put into the avatar to program it for society. And then you are this divine being that is having this life experience through the avatar and through the ego, which is the ego which holds all of these structures of behavior and language and who you believe that you are. And so when you transcend the ego, you can fully love yourself, because you see, okay, it's just I have this human experience, I have this human body, and part of this human body is taking hold of the reins of the human body, which is taking hold of the minds and the thought process and the ego, which it has programming in it, to be able to come above it and to see that programming and repair myself as a separate entity, right? But it's also the same as merging with, because this is the vessel that I have gotten to have this human experience. I need to take care of my vessel. My vessel is, I cherish my vessel. My vessel is what is carrying me through this experience. I need to treat my vessel with love at all times. And when you treat yourself with love, you also treat your surroundings with love. You also appreciate everything that is in your surroundings, especially when you get to this place where you're cleaning your plate and nothing will stick on your plate that doesn't belong there anymore, because you just don't have the energy to hold it up anymore. You just don't have the energy to hold up things that don't resonate with you at your finest tuning. And by nature, this spiritual awakening will progress you through a place where everything that isn't important falls off your plate, and everything that is important you cherish and you take very good care of, and you are appreciative of it in your existence. Because whatever stays on your plate, you know that that's the important things. Those are the important things. All the rest you quit wasting your energy on. And when you get into this place, you also have this feeling of um, being like an angel sent here, like like you have God's work to do. You are a divine being, and there is a purpose for your being, and that you have to. It's almost like it is above and beyond you. You are pulled and drawn and pushed into a place of, and it's with ease. Yeah, it's just like naturally flow into a place where all that you can do is of a higher purpose. So really, when you let go, the more that you let go and the more that you release, it's also, you practice this with your twin. That's why this twin flame journey is so, and again, I don't like calling it twin flame journey, but that are the counterpart journey. But those are the words, and those are the consensus for understanding it. And like I said in other videos, I really feel like my counterpart is a divine counterpart. It's not only for me, but he has the reflection of all. He likes, like God's light flows through him, and the work that he's done, he is able to reflect to me. The dynamics are the same as the twin flame journey, even if he has the capability of having a twin flame journey with almost anybody on the planet. Um, but the dynamics of it, he is putting in the time, and we do have a really special connection, unique connection, and he's putting in the time. And I think that he's also from the connection getting reflections back of his gifts and coming into his self. I can see it beautifully. um, and we're both doing our own work, separate and together. So there is and I realize also that when you get to these levels of doing the work with somebody, it feels, the closeness there is beyond words, and it's beyond the 3D level. So you always have that closeness there, the understanding, the internal understanding of one another. And when you can transcend the ego, the 3D mode, you can see that that connection is like a family connection. It's so much deeper than just this level. It is beyond um, this plane. Um, and as we transcend the ego, we have to let go of them on the physical level and bring all that attention back to our own life force. And as long as you're putting all your attention on them, you are like depleting your own world. You are putting all of your life force on something that is external, and it can never come to be, because you are depleting your life. That is, you have to have a full life in order to even have what to offer. And the only way that you can bring the focus back to you is by letting them go. You have to. You have to let them go. And it can't be in a letting go way of, because as long as you're chasing, they're running. It's like that, it moves together. So if you let go and balance your own energy beautifully, then they can let go and be in that space alongside you. But as long as you are holding on and you're chasing, you are not allowing yourself to rise into your higher being, and then you're missing the point of the spiritual awakening, which is coming into your own power and self-realizing yourself. As long as you're running, as long as you're chasing, you're in the ego. The chasing is the ego. The chasing is, I'm not enough. I need to run. I need to grasp. I need to fulfill me, fill this place. Um, and I know there's a lot of arguments. There's a lot of legitimate arguments that the ego can bring. I just don't have the energy anymore to even bring those up. I think that any one of us that is on this journey can see the truth of it. Once you get to a certain stage, you can see the truth of that letting go is the only way that you can bring that focus back to yourself, because as long as you're not letting go, your mind, your energy, your focus, even your physical avatar is chasing, is running, is not focused on, okay, let me bring it into me, and what am I bringing to the world? What am I, where it's all about internal work, right? Because when you do that internal work and you're able to look in the mirror clearly, the work happens on its own, and then you learn how to trust and let go and just flow into your own self. So enough said. So, sending you guys so much love. Thank you for watching, and sending you guys really a lot of strength and love. This is it. We're going through this, and we're going through this not only for ourselves but for humanity. There is a major shift now in humanity, and there's so many of us going through this now, and leading the way for the rest. When we look at it in this way, we can come into being in service. So, sending you guys lots of love. Thank you for being here.